All of you have a quirky aunt, Mabel, and she's passed away, and she's left you $1,000. You can see that in the your account there, that ledger. And she made her money in the stock market, and she decided, because she was blessed with a lot of wealth through her smart choices on the stock market, that she was going to give all her nephews and nieces, that's you guys, $1,000 each. I mean, that's a lot of money back in 1925. That's our date here. You can see the date, May 1st, 1925. So you open up an account after the will was read, and you all have $1,000 placed in your account. But according to the will, you can't just kind of bury this in the backyard or let it accrue interest. You have to use this money in the stock market. That's how Aunt Mabel earned her money, and she stipulates that if you don't spend it, you will lose it. Here we go. We have to spend Aunt Mabel's money on the stock market. So you got $1,000, and we're going to see what we can do with it. Now, if you turn in your papers to this sheet here, the B-17 stock exchange sheet, this is just a snapshot of what you have in your hand. It doesn't show all of the stocks. And you'll notice some of these companies are real, and some of them are around still, and some are real but not around anymore, and there's a couple made-up ones. And this is a sheet imagining today's trading, but today in history, so maybe this is, April or May of 1920-something, 25, let's say. And so these are the prices of the stocks on the opening and closing of this trading day. So you can see in the opening price, Ajax Rubber opened at 13 and then closed at 15. So at the beginning of the day, at the opening bell, they started selling at 13, and at the end of the day, it was selling at 15. And then you see the net change there is plus 2. And if you look down the net change column, you can see it was a pretty good day on the stock market. One stinker there, we don't know what happened to Goodyear Tire Company. Maybe there was a revolution or a coup in some rubber-producing country, or maybe there was a massive strike, who knows. But something happened there. And but for the most part, everyone's doing pretty well. So these are the prices that we're going to use to buy our first stock. But after we've bought our first stocks, this paper is useful for only one thing, really: to line a birdcage. Because every day when we do the stock market simulation, there's going to be new numbers. So when we buy our first stocks, after we've bought our first stocks and the game has advanced and it goes over a number of days, these numbers are no longer useful. You will get updated numbers throughout the simulation. So there'll be a PowerPoint display, a bunch of numbers will scroll through, and then those will be the current prices. And so when you buy and sell, you'll use the prices that scroll through on the screen. So these prices here are just for today. So let's spend some money. What I'd like you to do is find this sheet here. I'm going to show you two ways to buy stock. One using a simple transaction, and one using a transaction called buying on margin. And maybe some of you who have done a stock game more officially in business class know what that means, but I'll show you how that works. So in the stock box there, we're going to buy GE. And so if you write this along with me, knowing that this is just an example, and you're not actually buying the stock. However, if at the end of this you decide, yeah, I actually want to buy this stock for this price, it seems good, well, why not? So we're going to buy GE. So put GE in the stock box. Now look at your newspaper, or that page we're going to call a newspaper. What is the current cost per share of GE? Yeah. Okay. Just anybody find one. Find a $10. Cost per share is $10. We're going to buy 50 shares. 50 shares at $10 a share. So the value is what? 500. Now we're going to pay 500. Now I'll tell you why we're doubling that entry in just a second. And we haven't borrowed anything. So we're just going to leave that blank for now. In our next example, I'll show you how to fill in that box if you choose to. So we have just bought 50 shares of GE at cost of $10 a share. And how did we determine the value? We just multiply number of shares times cost per share. That gets 500. It's really easy. Now, during the game, this is how you're going to buy stock over the course of the game. But we're not quite there yet. So when you fill out your ledger, you're going to raise your hand as the last step. And like in sync, you're going to say, buy, buy, buy. And then you have to 3 times, because that's just tradition. So buy, buy, buy. I'm going to race over to your desk, and in the right next to it, I'm going to initial my my initials there. Now you officially own that stock. Now let's just say throughout the game, maybe you hold on to the stock for a few minutes and the price goes up, or maybe it's a day or two and the price goes up. Then you start thinking about selling. So let's say you notice that the price has been stagnant for a while, but then all of a sudden it went up to 12. And you say, I want to get rid of this. I want to sell this now. So then you notice that the current selling price on the screen is $12 a share. So that means you write 12 there. And now what's the change? Plus 2. So you write plus 2 there, but you haven't sold it yet. Guess what you have to do? Raise your hand and say sell, sell, sell. I'll come over and initial it next to it, and now you've sold it. All right. So that's basically how we buy and sell a stock using the simple accounting. But we need to go back to our ledger, and we need to keep a running total of our accounts. So let's say that this was 5/2/25, and what we would write on this line is bought. What did we buy? GE. So you'd write bought GE. How much money did we spend? 500. And so we'll put 500 in the debit column. That's money going out. And then it's real simple. Keep a running balance. 1,000 minus 500 is 500. But, sorry, I can't write it. But you have also sold this stock now. So then what you do is, let's say you sold it on the same day, and now we write sold GE, and we sold at $12 a share, but what's our value? 12 times the number of shares, which is what?
600.
It's 600. Where does the 600 go on our ledger? It goes into the credit, because that's money coming in. And then we want to keep a running balance, and so what? What do we got? We have 1,100. So we have now successfully bought and sold a stock, and we have updated our account. But remember, Aunt Maybell's will still stands. You have to use this money. So, in the spirit of Aunt Mabel, because she became fabulously wealthy, not by doing this simple technique, she got fabulously wealthy by buying on margin. And what this meant is that you could put down as little as 10% of your own money, borrow the other 90%, and buy massive amounts of stock. And the reason why you would do this is because if you flip that stock over, even if it rose just a little bit, you would always be making a profit. And during the 20s, the stock market just rose and rose and went up and up and up and up and up and up until it didn't go up anymore. And that's why it's a stock market crash simulation. But let's show you how to do this. Let's buy another stock, and we'll use the ticker symbol GR for Goodrich. Goodrich Tire. And what is the cost per share? Look back at our newspaper page. What's our current cost per share? $10 again. Makes it nice and easy. Now, instead of 50 shares, I want to buy 500 shares. I'm going to buy 500 shares for a value of $5,000. Now, I don't have $5,000 in the bank. I only have $600, and I'm going to leave a little bit of money. Aunt Mabel said you can leave a little money in there, otherwise the account gets closed. So I'm going to spend $500 of my own money. That's 10%. And one of the nice reasons to use the 10% models, that's always easy to figure out 10%. It's just moving that decimal point one place back and forward. So I've bought 500 shares at $10 a share for a value of $5,000. I've paid $500 of my own money, but I've borrowed $4,500. Now I put that here. $4,500. That's how much I've borrowed. So let's say the game goes, and the price shoots. Oh yeah, bye. Thank you. Initial, you're good to go. And now let's say it goes from $10 a share to, whoa, $15 a share. Somebody get your calculator out, because I can't do this in my head. What I can do the plus change in my head, that's plus 5. So what's the value of the stock now? It's 500 shares times what? My selling price. So what's 500 times 15? 7,500. So what I do is I go back to my little bank ledger here, and I have to update some things. So I say bought Goodrich GR, and I paid 500 of my own cash, and 1,100 minus 500 is 600 again. We're not going to put our debts in here. We're going to leave our debts on the other sheet, because it just gets a little too complicated. So I bought Goodrich. I paid 500 of my own money. I borrowed the rest. I keep track of my borrowing on that other ledger like I showed you. But now I've sold it. Let's just say it's gone up really quickly. Now I sold Goodrich. And now I have a credit of, remind me again, 7,500. Now somebody do the math here. 7,500 times 6 or plus 600 is 8,100. Woo! Hold on. Next step. You're absolutely right. Let me write this better here. 8,100. So we have to pay the debt. So next entry line, paid debt. And what's our debt? 4,500. And what's 8,100 minus 4,500? 36. Now, $3,600. We've taken 1,000, and we've, in just one trade, one transaction, we have tripled our money, more than so. Now, this is how Aunt Mabel made her profit. This is what she wants you to do. Now, if you don't want to be aggressive like this, that is completely fine. But this is how Aunt Mabel would have done it.